that or have a very loose organizational bond with the mother organization, but they carry out operations, they carry out their kind of sleeper cells, they carry out attacks, and then attribute it to the organization. So they become like franchisee terrorists. And at one point of time, what happened is that the Levant franchise, at that time Mus'ab Zaqawi and so on, this Levant franchise or division or subsidiary of Al-Qaeda started to grow because of the conflicts in this region and foreign powers pumping money. So the small subsidiary started to grow until it became bigger than the mother organization. So it became natural, as exactly a baby is born and then the baby becomes too big and he has to get out of the womb and then become independent and at one point becomes bigger than the mother. This is exactly what happened. It doesn't make any sense that Daesh, which had already received thousands of fighters on its side, billions of dollars in support, and also in Ghanaim, when they go and rob a bank or get a hold of some oil field and start selling in the black market. So they started having bigger resources, whether financial resources, whether human resources and fighters on the side, bigger than the mother, and which the mother is, the area itself became neglected. So it made sense that Daesh becomes limited. Maybe after a few years, in some other area, which again another organization spin off becomes bigger than
we hope for that, of course. We hope to counter Daesh and to counter all these organizations.
Hope alone is not sufficient.
Exactly.
Hope alone is not sufficient. I'm afraid that all of these circumstances which led to the inception and the birth and the growth and the prospering of these terrorist organizations, most of these conditions continue to exist. So the world is not really serious about this. If we have not seen, for example, we've seen some shy efforts to recognize, for example, Palestinian rights in some of the European parliaments and so on. And then we saw immediately after that some attack on France, because France, so there is in fact a bigger picture and in fact for this injustice you're speaking about, at the same time the 17 people who were killed in France, there were 2,000 Nigerian people killed by Boko Haram and nobody even mentioned them. I mean, there were no rallies for those 2,000 people killed in Nigeria. Absolutely.
Yes, this is injustice that we're speaking about. Again, Daesh. And if we spoke about Daesh, because it's not anymore a threatening organization, but rather a real threat to the whole region, since it is spreading, it is sending its affiliated militants to other countries. It is claiming responsibilities for many attacks in the area. It's not anymore in Iraq or Syria, but it is really spreading. If we spoke about countering Daesh, then we should understand exactly this Daesh phenomena. It's now becoming a state of terrorism. It has all, as you said, the human resources, the funding resources, leaders, ideology. It has it all. Media power, and unbelievably how they video their own crimes and just put it on many channels that we really don't want to speak about. But yes, this state or terrorist state, how is it recruiting people? I mean, how in God's name it is able to attract more and more people, particularly we're not speaking about attracting people from the Middle East right now, we're speaking about attracting people from the New World. And we've seen foreigners joining them.
As I said, because we sometimes neglect that we have seen traumatic events in the last 20, 30 years, and this really unload beyond belief. I mean, we talk about, for example, death of one journalist here, some hostage kidnapped by Daesh. But what about the hundreds of thousands of Iraqis who were bombed during
The 1 million Iraqi who died?
Absolutely. What about what happened in Afghanistan? What about what happened in Palestine? So all of these traumatic events have led a lot of people to become, in a way, immune to this sympathy, to this humanity. They have come to the conclusion that the world is such an ugly place. Those who talk about, these, they have double standard, and they are killing our brothers and sisters and so on. So they start to lose their humanity, and many of them are psychotic by nature. They have been traumatized by all of these things, that they have lost, their sanity. And it's not only happening in a place in the Middle East, as you say, that in fact many of Muslims living in Europe or living in the United States, living in Canada, living in Australia, living in other places, they identify with this cause, they identify with this suffering, they are traumatized as well. Some of them have their own also grievances. The rich-poor divide in Europe, all of these immigrants being under pressure and under economic pressure, and the immigrants in France, immigrants in Germany, they have these ghettos, and they're really pressed inside them. And then comes the ideology, then comes these mosques which have these evil sheikhs who are trying to radicalize and give this kind of paradise now ideology to this. So they decide that life has become so ugly, so the pain is so unbearable, then they decide to become suicidal and go and fight in a place like Syria.
From your point of view, because I'm very limited in time, how to counter such a threat? And I mean not through just intelligence, but rather through their ideologies, that is the threat, through the masterminds who are using them for political gains. How to counter such a threat?
I think we have to take the same circle we talked about. In order to prevent them from recruiting more people, I think we need to ensure that we plant hope in the people, because what we rely on is despair, meaning that we go to a region which is away from economic opportunity, which is underprivileged in terms of infrastructure, in terms of economic opportunity, education, and so on, and we start alleviating this injustice, because injustice is not just the north south, injustice even happens. We means in fact the whole society, whether the government, whether the private sector, whether the citizens, whether the NGOs. It is, at the end of the day, it's our collective survival at stake. And we can see that there are people who are trying in fact to help. I mean, there are so many of these initiatives like food banks, people sending.
You are speaking of how to counter such a threat within Egypt.
Absolutely.
I'm speaking about this growth phenomenon. I mean, with countries funding them from outside, with a real threat not only for very few gains. We're speaking about gains for power.
Right. I'm afraid that people and countries will continue, many of these countries will continue their approach unfortunately in trying to manipulate world resources and so on. And they would seem at one point of time fighting this group, but at another point they will be arming another group. So unfortunately there is little that we can control. What we can control is our own homeland. What we can control. What we can do is, as government, as people, as civil society, as universities, as schools, as the Azhar, as the law, we have to start trying to disentangle this web, starting from creating opportunity, getting people busy, getting people to work, giving people good education, trying to clean up this ideology, as you said, is trying to spread the right message of Islam, the right message of coexistence, the right message of all religions is be good to your neighbor. Be good to your neighbor as you would like your neighbor to be good to you. This empathy thing. The third part is, of course, is a financial and logistical part. We have to make sure that wherever these companies, which are or entities or banks which are pumping money into these terrorist organizations, they have to be shut down. They have to be warned and then shut down. But until this day, I'm sure that many companies, business people, transfers are coming because these people are getting money to survive. How are they getting this money? So there must be still some links, and we have to draw up these links, and this is where we have to do some intelligence effort, not only on the military side, but also on the supply side, from people, from ideology, from money, from equipment, from arms, and so on.
From your point of view, do you think fully that the intelligence has now to play another role rather than just reporting the dangerous situation, or that this is linked to that and all this, but has to carry out with instead of actions on the ground in order to cut a network that is becoming a global network?
Absolutely. I think this also has to go on several parallel fields. One of them is short term. In the short term, meaning trying to prevent the next attack today or tomorrow, we need to have intelligence, tactical intelligence, meaning who is saying what equipment is moving, some suspicious satellite pictures are showing movement of arms or vehicles and so on. So that's a tactical level. And in the medium term, we need to prevent what will happen after 3 months, meaning that a certain organization is building this capacity. But in the longer term, if we want to make sure that after 10 years we're not having the same unfortunate dialogue about the same problem, is that we need to start addressing the bigger issues. People, ideology, funding, media. This we have to work on the four, and it has to be a kind of an interactive game where we start building scenarios and start acting in these scenarios and start having a proactive, as you said, rather than a reactive approach to solve this problem.
My final point would be the role of media. I only have 1 minute left.
The role of media, it's a complex one, and I think this needs a separate episode. But the role of media, believe it or not, needs to be more balanced. I think our media, in sometimes becoming really overzealous and trying to push, a nationalist agenda, they in fact feed the religious extremism as well. Extremism always brings extremism. So we need a moderate, we need a message also of embracing people, of realizing that there are injustices that we have to work together to improve and so on.
Unfortunately, my time is out, and I have to end it here, Mr. Hamid. So thank you very much for doing that.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Many thanks for watching. Stay tuned for what's coming up on 9 TV.